Hello my friends, Dowellzrul here, and before we get into this video, I wanted to just let you know that I went to the orthodontist appointment the other day, and I have braces. I know you guys haven't seen my face very much, but I have braces on, and I think I don't know what they put on my teeth, but it's kind of hard to talk, so please excuse my inability to speak correctly. So, let's get into this, and today, what we have is Yajiro Invader, the bad card out of Flames of Destruction that I wanted someone to build a deck out of. I've been trying to do this for the past 2 weeks, and I can't get it to work for the life of me. I mean, I found some interesting things that could work well with it, but I can't fill out a complete 40-card deck with it, and that's where you guys come in. I want you guys to help me build a deck around Yajiro Invader. So this video is, I'm going to give you what I have so far, and I want you guys to take that and help me build the deck out of it. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, Yajiro Invader is a reptile, level 5, dark monster. So, Allure of Darkness plays right off the bat. But that's really all it's got going for him. If it's normal summon or special summon to it has to be summoned to the main monster zone, right? The center main monster zone. And once per turn, you can move this card to an unused adjacent main monster zone. And each time exactly one monster is normal summoned to your opponent's field, move this card to an adjacent main monster zone that is closer to the opponent's monster, and then you blow up everything in the column. So, this just kind of moves around the field and blows up stuff. Though, an easy way around this is if your opponent just summons a guy that is in this exact same column as Yajiro Invader, Yajiro Invader can't move, so it can't blow anything up. So, I've thought of a couple cards that could actually work with this, outside of Allure of Darkness, and they are the Monarch Stormforce and Summon Dice. Now, Monarch Stormforce is obvious, it's good in any tribute deck, but Summon Dice is new out of Battles of Legend, Relentless Revenge. So, what this does is you pay 1,000 life points and roll a die, and depending on the result, you get an effect. If it's a 1 or a 2, you can immediately after this effect resolve, normal summon one monster, which is good because it gives you an extra normal summon off of a spell. So it's a card effect. If it's a 3 or 4, special summon a monster to your grave. And if it's a 5 or a 6, special summon a level 5 or higher monster from your hand, and you can only activate one summon dice per turn. Well, Yajiro Invader happens to be a level 5 monster, so Summon Dice's 5 and 6 effect and 1 and 2 effect work really well with it. Now, obviously, you would want to wait till you have something in the graveyard, so you can get the full value off of Summon Dice if you happen to get a 3 or a 4, or you could just risk it and YOLO and see if you can get a 66% chance to just free summon of Yajiro Invader. So I'm going to put these over here for now, because these work directly in tandem with Yajiro Invader himself. And then here are the other cards. Here is another card that I found while I was just looking through my cards one day, alright? And I found this card, and I'm like, well, this actually is very interesting. It has some very interesting synergy with Yajiro Invader. And it is the Ghost Bird of Bewitchment, the card that everyone forgot about immediately because it came out of Expo and was bad. So, it's a level 4 Dark Winged Beast monster, alright? So it's searchable off of the Raidaptor 4 Strix, the rank 4, which is generic, and it also has Allure of Darkness Blaze because it's dark, right? So what it does is it gains a different effect depending on which main monster zone it's in. If it's in the leftmost, you gain 1,000 attack defense. If it's in the rightmost, you gain 2 attacks. If it's in the center, your opponent cannot target this card for card effects, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, your opponent's card effects. And once per turn, in the others, monsters cannot activate their effects in the same column, right? So if it's in the columns with the extra monster zones, it prevents those cards in the column to activate their effects, right? So that's basically it. I found this, and it was like, wow, this works really good with a card I got out of Flames of Destruction, which is Staring Contest. So its effects are basically the same thing, except the rolls are reversed. So I'm gonna read this. It's a continuous spell card, and the only one you're running in the deck, unless you want to play like the Thoughtful Engine or something like that. So what this does is, when you special summon one when you special summon a monster to the extra monster zone, you can target one monster your opponent controls in the main monster zone, and move that target to their zone in the same column as the extra monster zone monster. That's a mouthful. And then basically the opposite is vice versa. So basically, to dumb this down, if your opponent summons a guy from the extra deck to one of the extra monster zones, you can take one of your guys. All right. So this is the extra monster zone. Right here. This is the extra deck monster. You can take your Bird of Bewitchment. Your Staring Contest will move it to the same column as that monster. That is if your opponent summoned to this zone. Since if vice versa, if your opponent summons a guy to the extra monster zone, you can move one of your guys. If you summon a guy to the extra monster zone, you can move one of your opponents. So, what this does is it allows your birdie to automatically move from extra monster zone column to extra monster zone column, so that your bird can get the most value out of that other effect. Now this works really good when you're staring down like a Firewall or a Saryuja, if they're going second to making that, because Firewall can't bounce if it can't activate its effects, and Saryuja can't special summon if it can't activate its effects. And if you go first with this deck and the bird is on field and Staring Contest is on field, they're gonna have to get rid of this, or else they can't summon from the extra deck, basically. Because the extra deck effects are just negated. They can't activate. Even on the on-summon effects can't activate, I believe, as long as this guy's already on field. So, yeah, I mean, they could easily summon into the other extra monster zone, but if you have that occupied at the moment, then they're going to have a hard time getting to that. Now, these two are the... So what I'm going to do is Yajiro Invaders over here, and then the Birdie of Bewitchment over here. These two monsters are your heart and soul of what the deck that I've built. The way I've built it, these two are the heart and soul, or the way that it's in my head. These two are the heart and soul of the deck. Again, I am sorry, my mouth it's so hard to talk right now. I'm surprised I was able to get through Staring Contest, honestly. That is just bottom text on that. Alright, so next, we have the most important engine of this deck, Apprentice Piper. The mini engine that isn't actually an engine. So your 3 of Apprentice Piper is Dark level 2 Spellcaster Flip monster. It's Dark, so Allure of Darkness plays, and what it does is Flip, you can special summon one monster from hand, and if it's destroyed by battle or card effects and sent to the grave, you can special summon a monster from your hand. So, Apprentice Piper lets you special summon a monster from your hand if say it was face down, right? They run into it and kill it, right? Apprentice Piper dies, so you get a special summon off of its flip effect, and then a special summon off of its dead effect. But this also works really well in tandem with cards like Torrential Tribute. Because if you TT while your Piper's on field, your Piper's effect will activate, letting you special summon a guy off of the TT. So you're not at a complete loss with Torrential Tribute. So I figure that this is a decent engine. So that is it for the heart. This is it for the definites in the deck. This is what I want to keep in the deck, though, depending on what you guys suggest, I'm willing to take out some of these cards. But the deck has to focus around Yajiro Invader, alright guys? So now we have the less important stuff, alright? So this is the stuff that is less important and can easily be cut, but work interesting with the deck, alright? So next we have Performage Trick Clown and his Damage Juggler. Alright, so the Performage engine, with Foolish Burial in here, obviously. This is just for tribute fodder, because you could keep bringing back Trick Clown after you tribute it off of Yajiro Invader. You don't really need this, but Yajiro Invader is actually kind of tough to get out, because Reptile has so little support. So, I figured this would help. This can get cut if you guys deem it cut-worthy, but I thought this was fun. Next we have the Spear Cretin and Armageddonite combo. You use Armageddonite to send a Spear Cretin to the grave, and then you set one Spear Cretin and you have a Spear Cretin lock. Honestly, it's horrible in Link format, because your opponent just keeps bringing back, keep killing it and bringing back monsters, so they can link off in their main phase too. And honestly, it dies to like a Torrential Tribute or a Dark Hole or a Raigeki or anything that blows up monsters that lock dies to. So, I don't think I want to keep the Cretin lock in the final in a final product, but I thought this was interesting. Then Armageddon Knight can send cards to the grave, like Yajiro Invader, if you really wanted to, off of that summon dice, for that summon dice effect. I don't know about Armageddon Knight, but I know I'm probably going to cut Spirit Cream, depending on how things go. So, let's throw this over here. Next, oh, yeah, I have a Rhoda for the Armageddon Knight as well. Slide that in there. Next, we have Dark Armed Dragon. Now, this would be for if I were to run Snake Rain. Now, I don't have any other reptiles, because I believe Snake Rain sends 4 reptiles to the grave, but if you were to Snake Rain your Yajiro Invaders, that automatically gives you a free Dark Armed Dragon, because you have 3 Dark Monsters in the grave. You just have to have a 4th reptile in here to, that's not dark, so you can activate the Armageddon Knight's effect. I mean, Dark Armed Dragon's effect. I thought this was interesting. I don't know about you guys, but this can stay over here in the maybe pile. Then we have Vanity's Fiend and Majesty's Fiend. Now, these are here just for more tribute stuff. They can't be special summoned off of the summon dice or the apprentice piper. Sorry about that. But they're pretty interesting nonetheless. They're basically just here for floodgates, in case Yajiro Invader, in case we don't have him. I don't know about them, so let's put them over here in the maybe pile. Now, for the spell cards. We have Monster Reborn, because Monster Reborn, right? Next, we have Exchange, because if you dump your hand and then have just exchange the Yajiro Invader, you can exchange it with the Yajiro Invader and give them a useless level 5 reptile. That's actually kind of... It's kind of... in theory, it's kind of amazing. In theory. Alright. Next, we have Fires of Doomsday for tribute fodder, and there is that new Dark Link 2 guy, the Dark Attributed Link 2, coming out of Cybernetic Horizon. So, you could use Fires of Doomsday for that. And then I was thinking Lullaby of Obedience, mostly for tribute fodder, because if you call a hand trap, then they'll probably most likely place it on your field, so you could tribute over it for Yajiro Invader. And that is it for, this is what I have, right? This is what I have for the Yajiro Invader deck, and my camera keeps focusing weird. Sorry about that. So, let me know what you guys thought about this. Let me know what you guys thought about my interesting choices here. Any interesting synergies that you just figured out, or that you know that I don't. And let me know what card... Help me out with this, please. I will leave my Discord in the description, so we can talk over that if you guys wanted to chat about that. Yeah, that's all I've got for this for right now, and it truly has. It's just mind-boggling how badly this has stumped me. I cannot, for the life of me, figure this card out, but I am determined, and we will figure it out, guys, together. So, I'm gonna throw this up front, so you guys can look at his beautiful face, and be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that YouTube stuff, and if you like my videos so much, be sure to ring that bell, so you guys, can be notified on when my next video goes up. Alright, and hopefully my next video will be about this deck, but most likely not, because I have another deck waiting in the wings for a deck profile. And yeah, honestly, I hope we can do this. I believe we can do this. You know what? I believe that we can get this to work. So I'm gonna leave you guys there. See you next time. Peace.